Welcome to a Songwriter Trysts, and I'm very blessed and lucky to have Rae on the show with me, all the way from Tennessee. How are you?
Nashville. I'm doing well. Greetings from Nashville, Tennessee, for sure.
Greetings. Okay, so I usually like to start by getting you, as the artist, in your own words. Tell us a little bit about who you are and where you come from.
My name's Brian. I'm originally from the Tampa, Florida area. I'm a Floridian through and through, but I've been coming up to Nashville, started coming up to Nashville in 99.
Wow.
So a long time ago, yeah. And pursuing singer-songwriter dreams and whatnot. I started out singing gospel music for a living for quite some time and then transitioned over to country music, about 16 years ago or so.
There's a lot of
But
crossover
yeah,
there.
Yeah, absolutely. I was raised around country music. My grandfather and all of his siblings were all country music singers and
Oh, wow.
pickers and whatnot. So I came up with that influence and prodded me along to eventually want to make it something that I wanted to do with my life. And like I said, I started out singing gospel music and I still all that gospel music and I was influenced by 90s R&B,
Yeah.
Motown, that kind of stuff, along with traditional country. So there's a lot of that mix in there. But started coming up to Nashville '99, and then eventually moved here in 2012. And
Wow.
just been singing my heart out. And I've written over 600 songs at this point, and
Yeah.
just I've been just chipping away at being able to do the thing that I love, which I'm very grateful for.
When did you first realize this was something that you loved? When was the first time you started putting lyrics to a melody and picked up
Oh yeah,
instrument?
I tell you, the first time I didn't even know I could sing till I was 13 years old. I like to sing, but no one
Hmm.
had ever told me that it sounded good.
Yeah.
So I just,
People need to
I did.
tell you.
Yeah, 100%. And I had
Yeah.
no, because I just sang for my mom or my grandmother. And of
Mm.
course, they would say, "Oh, that sounds great."
Yeah.
But I was about 12 or 13 years old, and I was with a good friend of mine. And we were just talking about things, whatever. And I just started singing these little lyrics from a Stevie B song. And he said, "What? Wait, sing that again."
Yeah.
And so I said, "What? What? Did it sound bad?" He said,
Yeah.
"No, sing that again." So I sang it again. And he was like, "Dude, that sounds amazing." I said, "It does?"
Yeah. Wow.
And he says, "Man," he goes, "Come." And so he took me to where all the girls were, and he wanted me to sing for. I was like his novelty.
Check out my mate who can
Yeah,
sing. Yeah.
check out my duty. Yep. So I became his wingman.
She's like using you to pick up.
Pick girls up for sure when we were kids. But he was the first person to ever tell me that that I could, that I actually outside of my family
That's pretty
that
young
actually
though.
affirmed that. And I'll never
Yeah.
still to this day. I'm 47 years old now, and I've been doing this for 30 plus years. I that still is the moment where I thought, oh, okay, maybe this is something that might be meaningful in my life, and it turned out it
Yeah.
was.
I love that. I had the opposite experience. So I
Mm.
had everyone telling me I love singing, but I had everyone telling me to shut up because I'd be singing during maths class.
Yeah,
And then my best friend would say she wanted to be a singer. And so she said I should just stick to what I'm good at, which was maths and science. Like,
yeah.
so I didn't think I could really sing until I was about 30, but I did grow
Oh
up singing
wow.
in church. That's where
Oh
I
wow.
worship was so different to singing in public. I don't know about you.
Oh,
So
for sure.
what
Sure, for sure.
how did you get involved in gospel first? And then,
I grew up in church. I grew
yeah,
up in a little Pentecostal church in the Tampa, Florida area, and I grew up, around that kind of neoclassical type of. I don't know if you know what Pentecostals are, but
I was Pentecostal. Yeah.
they're the shouters, the tongue talkers, the runners, the
Happy
hollers, yeah,
clappers.
happy clappers. That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So I grew up in that environment, and my grandmother is a very godly woman, and she was very influential spiritually to me. She's actually, when I was 17, I had what they call I was born again. I was saved, whatever. Some people may not know what that is, but you probably know what that
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
But she's the one that led me to Jesus. She's the one that preached the gospel to me, and she's the one that ultimately would disciple me in those early years and just really lay a strong, firm foundation for me in my faith. But I didn't. Again, it was my family that encouraged me to start once I got saved, and
Yeah.
I started using my gift in church in public.
Yeah.
They're the ones that kind of ushered me in. Back then, in my teenage years, we used to have cassette tapes, and they were called accompaniment tracks, and you
Yeah.
would sing a special in church to that pre-recorded track.
Yeah.
This was before I even started playing anything,
Yeah.
and that's when I knew. I remember the first time. It was 1996, in April of '96, a month after I'd received the Lord as my Savior. I sang a song in church, and I watched how it moved people. I watched how people connected with it, and I watched how powerful it could be.
Mm.
And into a 17-year-old boy's mind, even it didn't matter. I knew at that moment that, oh, this is something special. And then it would ultimately, I would understand it as something called a call or a gift on my life. And
You're a
I just
worship leader.
Absolutely. I'm a
Yeah.
psalmist, worship leader, and started to see how God could use that in a powerful way.
And it's an extremely powerful thing, but it's also a gift. And again, it's one of those things that you saw it in the people you were singing to, but you also had encouragement and family support.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's such a big difference over the 6, 7 years I've been running this podcast. Like I said, it's funny how the different projections that people's lives have taken because they've had someone, a parent or a teacher or a grandparent, say, "You're
Hmm.
amazing, you can do this," versus people who
Yes,
haven't had that environmental encouragement. And
absolutely.
it doesn't change who they are, but it
Right.
does necessarily, it does, or I've noticed, I feel like I should, at this stage, because I've interviewed so many songwriters, I should write like a thesis.
Yeah.
I've really
Get your
noticed,
doctorate in it.
yeah, doctor, I've really noticed how simple encouragement, words of encouragement, play change the direction of people's lives and encourage earlier integration into the space of who they are when they're encouraged to and allowed to be who they are rather than who they should be. Go get a
Right.
proper job and all this stuff versus
Right.
just being loved for the calling and giftings that God gave you. And it's fascinating how common it is. Anyway, I digress. So
Yes. Oh, beautiful. I agree with you 100%.
so I'm so grateful that you had that because you are so incredibly talented. I felt you when I heard your music, and so I
Thank you.
was really excited to hear about it. Tell me about the transition from doing your gospel stuff into how did you pick country? What was, I know that you said you had that influence previously, but to actually start recording and releasing it yourself.
Yeah. That's such a nuanced. It's a great question, but there's such a nuanced answer to that.
Mm,
There was it was multifaceted reasons. I went through some difficult moments spiritually. My marriage suffered a huge blow at the time when I made the transition to how the only way I knew how to describe it was I felt like if I were to remain a Christian artist, I'm a Christian, but if I were to remain a Christian artist in doing just Christian music as a career, I felt like there was a ceiling on
mm,
it. For me, I'm just talking for me. This may not be for you. Got the Brandon Lakes out there and those guys who are doing great things, and I think they're doing amazing work and as Christian artists. But for me, it really felt I could not communicate the gift that's in me, including the gospel, and tell my
mm.
story encapsulated in the Christian music genre. And
Right.
so that for me was a big reason. And as a songwriter, because I've written about a lot of things. I've written about, I just felt like the Christian genre, it was very limited to what you could write about. I don't make vulgar music. I don't write about vulgar things, but I do write about real things. I do write about real experiences. And I do use more lyrics than hallelujah and yes, Lord.
Yes.
So I just felt like there was a creative limitation in the genre,
Yeah.
and that was a big reason specifically,
I love
just a
that.
lot of creative, yeah, creative. I felt like there's more creative opportunities and for me to talk a little bit more about my experience, my life, the things I've been through as a Christian, but as a flawed human being who's also been a despicable sinner, and
Well,
who's
I love that.
yeah. Yeah,
It's so real. It's so real. And it took me a long time to say I'm a Christian country artist. And it actually took one of these podcasts. I did a podcast with Zach Hanson from the Hanson brothers.
oh
And
yeah,
he's, if you're a Christian, you're from the country, you're a Christian country artist. It's like they're just labels, right? But the songs I was singing about weren't the gospel songs that you would sing in church. They're real life human beings.
yes,
And my interpretation of that was that for me, Jesus was the ultimate storyteller of love, and he
the
he told
greatest,
parables
yes,
of love, but he didn't tell stories just about worshiping God. He told us about real life and how we should treat each other, and
that's exactly right.
of how kindness and love should be integrated in our everyday life. And that was
Yeah,
my thing too. I was like, that's what I want to do, and that's not just for other Christians. That's for anyone who wants to be a good person and live a life of love.
absolutely.
If people can find God through, that's amazing. But yeah, no, I totally relate to what you're saying. But I also agree that there is this social, if you are a Christian, you can't have fun or something. I don't know. Like,
Or
but you know,
you can't be you can't be real.
oh, yeah.
And again, I by no means I'm not a critic of the church. I love the
No,
church. The church is my mother.
yeah.
In a sense, I adore the church. The church is the bride of Christ,
Mm,
of which I'm a part of. So I try not to be critical of the church, but I also, at the same time, I went through a season, and when I made the transition from doing gospel music to country music, there was a moment of bitterness in my heart. I
mm,
felt like I was dismissed, overlooked, and rejected by the Christian music world,
yeah,
which did happen.
yeah.
And I got a little bitter. And one of the most, I've never put it out, but one of the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Sincere, honest, real, emotional, guttural songs I've ever written was to the church and how it's called Stage Without a Steeple. And I wrote it from a place of, okay, well, I try to give you everything.
Pain.
I gave you all
Yeah.
of my gifts, all of my passions. Yes, I wasn't perfect, and I didn't expect you to be perfect, but you expected me to be perfect. And so I'm going to take what I have, and I
Yeah.
love you, but I'm taking it. Like Paul said to the Jewish people in Acts chapter, what was it, 13? He
Mm.
says that they just kept rejecting the gospel. And so what did he say? I'm going out here now with it, because it's not. And so that was kind of how I felt. I was like,
Mm.
man, they're not digging what I'm doing, so I'm going to take this elsewhere. And I did, and I
Yeah.
felt like that was the path that God had laid out for me, and it turned out to be true.
Yeah. I am a believer, and I've never said this out loud, but I do feel like there is a pandemic of self righteousness within the church. And
Oh, for
that's
sure.
not of God. It leaves people feeling that icky judgment feeling of not being, never being good enough. And I think that's where that rejection comes from, is if we haven't lined up to a certain expectation of self righteousness that aligns with other people, yeah, we feel rejected. We don't feel that unconditional love that is what we preach in church and what the Bible preaches.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I felt that. Why didn't you release your song? What withheld that for you?
All just that it wasn't timing, really. I recorded a demo of it years ago, and the initial idea was we were going to try to. It wasn't a pitchable song, so I was with the publisher to write songs for other
Personal.
people.
Yeah.
Nobody else was going to do that but me. It
Right.
was just,
You
you're a
sounds like something
songwriter.
I would sing though.
Yeah, oh, yeah, or
Yeah.
very well, then, yeah, maybe I'll pitch it to you. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was just one of those things that that's how it is with all my releases. It's all about
Yeah.
timing. I don't like where I'm at now. I've already, so I don't know if you do this, but I work by albums. So when
Yeah.
I've
Good
written a
way to
ton of
work.
songs, and then one of the fun things I like to do is I like to compile the songs that I've written and see how they would look or feel in an album
Yeah.
or a record.
I love that.
Maybe I'm old school like that. I know, I guess I'm with a label. Yes, we do waterfall releases and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I want to make projects.
Yeah. Body of work that kind of all
Yeah, a
goes
body
together.
of work, and that's one of my favorite things. And so I just never fit in one of those, like
Yeah.
it's not
It
fitting
doesn't fit in
one of
any of
those
those. No.
things. Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
a very
but I
specific
may.
goal.
Right, and
Mm.
I may do it. I'll tell you what. One thing about that song is that the word "damn" is in it. All right,
Yeah.
it's in there, but it can't be removed. I know that sounds weird, but it is so perfect. It conveys the emotion of what's being said.
That's what you
I ain't
do as a
never signed my
songwriter.
name to a damn thing, and some might say it's a damn shame.
Yeah.
I put that out on Facebook years ago, and regarding the self righteousness, I got reamed for it because I
Yeah.
said the word damn
Yeah. That's so
in a
funny.
in a song. And I'll never forget I thought it bothered me, and it
Yeah.
irritated me a little bit. And I thought to myself, see, this is why they couldn't hear what I was saying in the song. The song is very clear on what I'm trying to say. It's not
Yeah.
about say I was not disrespectful in the song. I was very clear in the song, but all they could hear was
The word damn. Yeah.
the word damn. Yeah.
Look, that's the same way I feel as a female sometimes. If I'm not wearing makeup, most people can't hear a thing I'm saying because they're so focused on how tired I look. Like
Oh, good grief.
it's look, everyone's different, and my belief is that people who need to hear it will hear it, and then
You're right.
everyone else is just fluff. But I would say, and I don't usually have talked about my own stuff, but I have a song that I wrote when I was angry at the church,
Mm.
and it's called "Love Me," and it's exactly that. It's I'm a flower in the field. I don't need to be healed. You don't need to fix the way that God made me. I
I
am the way
love
that God
that.
made me, right?
Yeah.
So I wrote that song with it's a beautiful love song, but it's also like it comes with that feeling of anger towards
Yeah.
self-righteousness, pain that and the rejection I felt from
Mhm.
the church, the
Yeah.
fakeness of the way people treated me at church.
100%. I call it plastic fruit. It was a lot of
Plastic
just plastic
fruit.
fruit. Yeah.
So much. I love that. Can we write that song, please?
Yeah, plastic fruit. Yeah.
Plastic fruit. But I wrote that song with that feeling. And then when I released it, it's the most successful Christian song on
Oh,
Christian
wow.
radio that I've ever released. And I didn't
Wow.
even market it to Christian radio. It was marketed to like country radio, but it's Christian radio. And I thought that was hilarious because either one, people have no idea what the song's about, or two, there's a lot of people that feel the same way I
Feel
do.
the same way. Yeah.
And I like to think there's probably a mix of both. I
Right.
don't say the word damn in it.
Yeah.
Maybe that saves me. But
Again, I
yeah,
don't make vulgar music. I don't cuss hardly ever in my music. So
yeah,
I don't want to come across as some sort of rebel. But It was just the way it came out when I wrote it, and it's just hard to. I
See,
don't want
yeah.
to. I don't
Damn's not
want
a
to.
swear word in Australia, by
You're
the
right.
way.
Right. Okay. Welcome to the U.S.
I
Southern
mean,
U.S. United States.
yeah, look, I make a lot of people laugh when I go to places like Nashville because in Australia, there is no limit on the amount you can swear. And in fact, the more you swear, the more Australian you are. And
Oh.
so it's such a different culture shock to people. And yeah, people laugh at,
Mm,
we
mm.
have swear words in our advertising. We have stuff that I won't even say because it'll make you
I
blush. But
understand.
like,
I understand.
it's funny if we're having drinks. I'm in Nashville and we're talking because I try to explain how different our cultures are. But it's still language, and I think language is
Mhm.
everything to do. I'm an actor as well, and there's so much to do with subcontext. And
Yeah.
you can swear or you can curse with subcontext that is loving, and then you can
Yeah.
swear and curse with subcontext that is hateful and violent.
Hateful. Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's a great
it's the
point.
hateful and violent subcontext that we have to avoid because we
That's a
shouldn't be
great
wanting to
point.
spread that. But obviously, there's surface level stuff and then there's the deeper stuff. All right,
Absolutely.
I knew that this happens. This always happens when I talk to other Christian songwriters. So I'm sorry. All right, let's
Sorry.
move on. Tell me about the body of works that you've released so far and what it is you're trying to say now with your country music that you're releasing and what are you working on?
So back in 2019,
Mhm.
I had turned 40 years old, and I released a project with Sony and Right On Music at the time, produced by Grady Saxman. Grady's produced for Jelly Roll and Luke Combs and all those. He's a dear friend of mine, fantastic producer. We put that album out. It was called 39. I was 39. I was turning 40, and I wanted to at that time write about just where I was in my life. I was a brand new grandfather, unexpectedly, and it was a. Are you there?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. I thought I lost you. You
that's all right.
blacked out for a second. Yeah, there you are.
Okay.
So I didn't. I just wanted to write where I was at in life with all these weird transitions that were happening in my life, being a
Hmm.
young grandfather, and I have a 12-year-old son. I have a 26-year-old daughter, 23-year-old daughter, and a 12-year-old son. So he's
Wow, big
only
gaps.
3 years old. He's only 3 years older than my twin grandchildren, and he's a young uncle. But I was just writing about that. And up to that point, man, I had done so much. I had traveled as a speaker, as a preacher, as a minister, as a worship
Wow.
leader, as a gospel singer, as a performer, as a songwriter. I'd done a lot up to that point, seen a lot. And I wanted to communicate that because there was a lot of 20 somethings coming up who were very talented, but I
Yeah.
felt like there's a lot of people my age that have really important stories to tell. And
Yes.
so that's where I was with that album. So it was called 39, and I wrote it and wrote the whole album, and obviously with some co-writers, but it was all original songs. And we put it out for probably a couple months, and then there were some legal issues with masters and publishing and all that. So it
Okay.
was taken down, taken
Oh, I'm
down.
so
So yeah,
sorry.
that's okay. It's a bummer.
Yeah.
And so from that time on, I've released dozens of singles. I've released several EPs. Released an American-made album that had a very popular song on there called "As You Were" that was used by Operation Homefront and Wounded Warrior Project. So I did a lot after that album got taken down, but finally got the legalities resolved last year.
Okay.
And Sony was generous enough to pick it back up, and we were able to sign something that was amicable for
Yeah.
everybody. And Right On Music was back on as the label, and we're releasing that this year. We've been waterfall and releasing singles, and we just released the second single. I don't
Yeah.
know if you listened to this one or not. It's called "A Lot More River." We
I'll have
released that one a couple weeks ago,
okay.
and we're about to be on the third single of it. We're going to release about 5 singles on it, and then release the whole album.
So this
Yeah,
is how long's it been since that's like 7 years
7 years. Yeah.
of
So
so was that legal battles the whole time trying to get the
no, those got resolved relatively quickly. I
okay.
just, again, it was timing. I didn't want to, and where I was at in my life, like for instance, 2020, I came off the road for about 6 months because I lost my voice due to COVID. COVID took my
Oh
voice,
my goodness.
and I couldn't sing nothing
Yeah.
for a
Oh,
long time. And so I came off the road with that, didn't do anything with that. And then just was involved in my family life, and then obviously my grandkids, they started getting older, and I came off the road 3 years ago, like full-time touring to coach football and baseball and basketball. So that's
yeah.
been really important in my life. So I've been doing music, but I've also been really heavy into the dad life and the grandpa
Yeah.
life, and the
Family life is super important.
100%. That's the most
Yeah.
important thing for me. But then about fall of last year, I was talking to Mike Sprinkle, with our label head, and I was like, man, I've got this amazing project just sitting there, and
Mm.
I've played all these songs live all over the country. And there's a lot of these songs that people just really connect to. I thought, why don't we just re-release it? I said, I'm pretty much in the same spot I was when I wrote it. You know,
Yeah.
a few things have changed, but these are just, I'm just not 39 anymore. So I said,
Mhm.
why don't we just release the song, rebrandage it, remaster it,
Yeah,
and give it a new title, and but just release all the songs. And we even added a couple songs to the album.
I
And
love
so
that.
yeah, that's what we're doing.
I absolutely love that. And I have three kids myself, but they're all within 3 years, so not a
Oh
gap
yeah,
like
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
But I think people forget how quickly childhood goes by.
Mm.
And it is, for me, I'd say it's almost only 13 years because I feel like that's the point where I've got a 13-year-old and he almost doesn't want to talk to me anymore. So like
Yeah, yeah. Mine's a 12-year-old. Yeah, he.
yeah, it's like all of a sudden you're irrelevant. If you
Right.
think about that, you've only got 13 years of being a really hands-on parent, and then you got to start
Right.
letting go.
Yeah.
And it goes by so quick.
So
Taking a bit of
fast.
time out to spend time with your family and coach. I love coaching basketball and
Yeah, yeah, me too.
yeah, just being there for them.
Being there 100%. Yeah,
Yeah, and
I
music
agree.
will be there still.
Oh, absolutely. I fully believe that. This is a gift for whatever life I have left. That's up to the
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah,
But it's there. I still go down. I have a couple residencies in Nashville. I sing. My voice is stronger than it's ever been. I feel like at this point in my life now that I'm a better artist. Maybe I'm not the stadium filling artist that I wanted to be in my 20s and 30s,
yeah,
but I feel like I have more potent, I have a lot more to say than I would have ever had been able to say in my 20s,
mm,
and artistically.
yeah,
Even with my vocal ability, like my vocal range, as you get older, it kind of you get limited,
yeah,
but the tone and the texture in my voice now, the
yeah,
character in it,
yeah.
I'll take that. I'll take that over the high notes I used to be able to hit any day because I feel that just communicates the soul of the
The
music a whole lot
soulful.
more. Yeah,
I love
yeah,
that, and I relate to a lot of what you're saying. And yeah, I do appreciate it when people have something real to say because you can feel it in the tone of their voice and
yeah.
and the words they're saying. Over, not that it's a bad thing, but younger people who maybe are singing based on a movie they watched rather than life experience. There's
Right,
such a different connection point that you can feel when you hear them sing. It doesn't mean it won't come. We've all got our own pain, and we'll
right.
communicate, be vulnerable in our own time.
It's like
What?
that song. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
I
no,
cut
no.
you off.
Please talk. That's
I was just. I don't know if you got to listen to the song "She's Been Through the Fire"
that's
at
my
all.
favorite. Yeah, I've
Okay.
listened to it a few times.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you.
so good. Yeah.
That's a powerful song. But to your point about being able to connect with people, that song right there, it was a song we wrote right here in the basement that I'm talking to you in right now, and it was actually originally supposed to go to Keith Urban.
Really
That was who it was supposed
crazy.
to go to, yeah. And they decided to do a different song. But when we wrote it, it was about they had asked us to write about a woman's empowerment song, and I didn't know how to write a woman's empowerment song. I do know
Yeah.
that all the women in my life have all the power, but
Yeah.
I didn't know how to write a woman. So when we wrote the song, we kind of wrote it based on just our observation of women and the immense seismic impact that they have on our lives, like my little
Mm,
grandmother and my mama, my wife, my daughters, very just people in our lives, that women in our lives, and the way that they overcome things in their life that would leave me in a fetal. I'm 6'4", 230 pounds. It would leave me in a fetal position in a corner somewhere.
there is,
About yeah, resilience, spiritual strength, right?
mm,
The strongest people, the top 20 strongest people I've ever encountered in my life are all women, but
yeah.
probably even more than that. And
Well,
so we were
that's
like,
amazing.
I said, let's write about that.
Yeah.
We've written enough about women's bodies.
Yeah.
We've written enough about you name it. Let's write about their soul and their spirit and their impact that they make on the entire world around us. And so that's what we tried to convey in that song.
Oh, you,
And
you you did convey that really well. It's one of the most well-written lyrical songs that I've heard in a very long time,
thank you.
which, if I'm honest, I do get a little bit sick when I turn on the radio and I hear such vain, ridiculous lyrics
Mm.
sometimes. And I just
Oh,
go,
yeah.
oh, I just want something real. And your song is that perfect, what I'm looking for in other people's songwriting when I want to listen to music is that realness. And you got that. And Keith Urban is stupid for not playing it because it
Man,
would have been
he can still have it.
massive.
He can,
Keith, do the song,
he can
man.
do the
Listen to
song,
us.
brother. I got
So
to pay a
good.
mortgage off, man. Let's go.
Come on, Keith. When he comes on the show, I'll tell him about it.
Yeah, you tell. Put
And
the
I'm
word
sure
for
he
me.
knows about it, but he just obviously I'll tell him how
He
powerful
probably
it felt
doesn't,
to
but his
me.
but his A&R team does.
Right. Oh man. See, that's where it's like sometimes the gatekeepers they have other intentions, but
100%.
that song, that's yeah. And to hear that story as well is so much more powerful to know the reasoning behind it. But yeah, you definitely nailed it on the head and it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
thank you.
If you were to give some advice to someone just starting out, maybe someone in the
Mhm.
20s, they're doing the thing, they're writing the songs, they're in Nashville. What's something that you wish you had have known back then that you just wish you could know sooner? It's a bit of advice.
Oh man, that's a hard question because you know, I wish I'd have learned the business a lot quicker than I did.
Mhm.
It took me a lot. I had a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Very naive ideas about how the music business works, especially when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have been able to understand how to work the business a little bit more. Of course, when I started doing it, that's when it was transitioning out of the 90s country era,
Mm.
going into the 2000s, 2010s, where it was started there was no one was really discovered, especially today. No one gets discovered anymore like an Elvis, or no one's going downtown bar to these none of these executives are going to the downtown bars in Nashville and watching one of my band shows or somebody else's band show and saying, you're the next Morgan Wallen. That's just not happening.
Yeah.
But I was naive to a lot of that when I was coming up to it. Just I wish I'd understood the business a little bit better. I think the advice I would give to somebody coming into town though would be obviously to learn the business, have um, study up on the business acumen of the music business.
Mm.
But a lot of people will tell you write with as many people as you can, and I did that. I
Mm.
did that. I even actually signed a couple publishing deals and wrote for some large publishing companies and whatnot, and did that for a while. And that was the most miserable time of my artistry. I personally, as an artist, now,
Yeah.
I just couldn't really connect with that because I found that for me, chemistry is so important when I'm
Mhm.
creating something. It's almost feels like sleeping around when I'm trying to create something with somebody and there's just no spark there. There's no flow, no chemistry there. And that
Mm.
doesn't again, it doesn't make the person bad or me bad. It's just I learned that the hard way because I would write and write with so many people. And finally I got to the point in my life where I was 15 years in and I had a circle of 5 people that I wrote with. And that was it. And unless God opened up the door for me to write with another individual, which did happen, I only wrote with those people or myself.
Mm.
And now it's to the point now where I only write usually with my brother. And him and I
Wow.
have written hundreds and hundreds of songs. He's one of the writers on She's Been Through the Fire.
Amazing.
And do I still write with other people? Yes, occasionally, but my
Yeah.
circle has just dwindled down so much. So I would say you don't have to write with everyone when you come to town. They're going to tell you that. And you don't have to sing at every single
Open
writers
mic.
round. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I would do your research, find out which ones are a good fit for you, and curate your own experience in that way. Is what I'd say.
Be intentional. I love that. And
Be
that's,
intentional.
you actually described beautifully why we call Songwriter Trysts. Do you know what tryst
Mm.
is? Tryst is the intimate connection between lovers. It's often used in newspapers for football player had tryst with waitress in the bathroom or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so it's a play on words of that intimate connection that you have with someone when you write a song. And you have to get really vulnerable and intimate when you're writing a song with someone if you want it to be deep and have that soul and connection
And
that we've talked
it's got to
about.
have a human
Yeah.
connection. Exactly right.
And it's not always going to be a good fit. We
Mm-mm.
might get on great and go have a drink at a bar and watch a football game or a basketball game, have
Yeah, yeah.
the best time, but be terrible co-writers. And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
but
Been there, done that.
it's okay to acknowledge that and be like, that's fine. We are just going to be people that go to the basketball and watch together and hang out. We're not going
Mhm.
to be co-writers. And the other people, you will find that every time you get together, you write and finish and
Yeah,
just do really well
yeah.
at songwriting.
And
And
create something beautiful.
yeah, and there is
Mm.
nothing wrong with it. Doesn't make you a bad songwriter if you can't co-write with particular people. It's
Oh,
just it's the
no.
chemistry. You
Yeah,
said
yeah.
it so well.
Yeah. Find your chemistry. Yeah. Find the people that you have chemistry with, I should say.
That's great. We've only got a few minutes left of the podcast, so I'm
Yeah.
going to ask you one more question before we get into promoting some of the stuff that's
Yeah.
exciting stuff that's coming up for you. The last one I have for you is if you could collaborate with anyone in the world, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
A musical artist. Let's see. Someone asked me that question on another podcast,
Stole
and
my
I,
question.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's a little different, but it's similar. You know, so the last podcast that asked me that question, I
Mm,
said Brian McKnight, and the
mm,
reason I said Brian McKnight is because he's a huge. I don't know if you know who that is, Brian McKnight, the
no.
R&B singer. You ever heard of Boys to Men? Yeah, in that vein, he would be one because he was just such an amazing writer. There's another one by the name of Babyface. He was another artist that
Heard baby face, yeah.
producer. It's fantastic. But on your podcast, I'm going to say a guy named Charlie Robinson.
Okay.
Yeah, Charlie Robinson was a Texas country artist who was a fantastic writer, and his brother actually wrote one of my favorite songs of all time called "Angry All the Time." It was cut by Tim McGraw.
Okay.
But he was just the way he cut. This is so crazy. he cut, and he's such a great songwriter, but he cut another writer's song by the name of Keith Gaddis. It was a song called El Cerrito Place. And El Cerrito Place is one of my favorite songs. It's probably my favorite song of all time.
Okay.
And but the way he delivers it, and the way he delivers all his songs, and he's not the greatest singer in the world. As a matter of fact, some people would say he's not a great, like Bob Dylan. He wasn't a
Yeah,
great,
yeah.
but there was something about the way he communicated and just loved through a song. You could feel it
Mm,
through the song. He'd probably be the one I would say for your podcast. I'm going to go with Charlie
okay.
Robinson.
Well,
He
I'm gonna
recently
look it up.
passed away a couple years ago, but
Okay.
yeah, if he was still living and I could work with him, he'd be the guy to work with. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm gonna, yeah, you've definitely named some things. I want to go listen to those songs.
Oh,
I
yeah,
always
yeah,
feel like
yeah.
I get a bit of an education when I ask that question. All right, so now we're going to talk about what's coming up. So you've got all these songs coming out, and you're
Hmm.
re-releasing some old, for you, I guess would be almost
Yeah,
classics, but like they're going to be
yeah,
new for us.
yeah.
And you've also got a fundraiser coming up. Tell us about what's going on.
Oh yeah, so June 20th here in the Nashville, Tennessee area, there's an amazing venue called the Gas Boss. It's a gas station with a
Mhm.
bait shop and a huge stage on the back of the bait shop and a little amphitheater. And it's a very beloved venue here in the Middle Tennessee area.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there June 20th with
Uh-huh.
my band. And I got some friends that are going to come out and play some music as well. And we're going to do just a bunch of original music out there, rocking and rolling. And it's a fundraiser to benefit the Fairview Titans cheerleading and football program, of which I'm a part of. I'm the
Okay.
head coach for the Pee Wee football team. So it's obviously near and dear to my heart. So I'll be out there June 20th. And then also July 3rd, I'll be out here in Fairview doing the Fairview, Tennessee, doing the July 3rd, July 4th event for our town as well.
Amazing. I'll get all the links for that and I'll attach it to the description of this podcast and it'll be on the website songwritertrysts.com so that everyone can find you, connect you, and come to your event. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
I appreciate you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Brian.
Bye bye.